that. One, this will be a resolution for one of the agenda items of what we will move to.
Okay, you want to talk about this? Yes, I was just looking at it.
Right, I think it's, oh yeah, well, I think what we need to do is,
I mean, I can answer the question, but just want to okay, yeah, apparently the agenda is longer than I'll call this meeting to order. Our invocation tonight will be done by Commissioner Way, Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Wilkins. Commissioner Way.
Bow your heads. Gracious Lord God, we come to you tonight to ask you to watch over us and keep us in your minds as we discuss this business about our community. Be with our neighbors that need your uplifting hand. Be with those in the world that are facing whatever ailments or situations that you might need to come upon them. In your most holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please stand, face the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Commissioner Way?
Present.
Commissioner Gleason?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Albright? Present. Commissioner Kaczynski? Present. Commissioner Wilkins?
present.
Mayor Wheeler?
Here. All right, item 4 is approval of agenda. The city has requested that under the consent agenda, we remove items 5B, 5C, and 5D, and which move them over to discussion items, at which case they will be discussion items 11A, 11B, and 11C. Is there any other changes or adjustments need to be made to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to add an agenda item under old business, water and sewer allocation.
All right. 9D, water and sewer allocation. Any additional changes? Not. seeing any, not seeing any. All those in favor of the agenda as presented with the changes? I need a motion.
So moved that we accept it as changed.
Motion is made by Commissioner Gleason. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is carried. All right, item 5 is consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda with items 5B, C, and D removed.
We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right.
Ready for this?
Make sure I get it all the way down. All right, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, we're at item 6, introductions, recognitions, and presentations.
She's catching up.
All right, as many of you may know, one of our previous city commissioners, Commissioner Ernie Anderson, recently passed away. He had moved, I believe, to Florida.
Yes, sir.
And his family was down there. So I fixed a proclamation tonight honoring, former Commissioner Anderson, and we will send this down to his family who were unable to attend. Let's see. This is a proclamation honoring Commissioner Ernie Anderson for his service to the city of CREEDMOOR. Whereas Commissioner Ernie Anderson has spent many years serving the citizens of CREEDMOOR in multiple capacities and roles. Whereas Commissioner Ernie Anderson served his country honorably in the U.S. Army, and whereas Commissioner Ernie Anderson was elected to the city of CREEDMOOR Board of Commissioners in November 2016 and served through December 2020. During his time on the board, he served CREEDMOOR as Mayor Pro Tem from 2019 to 2020. And whereas Commissioner Ernie Anderson served as Granville County District 5 Commissioner from September 2020 through December 2020 to complete the term of Owen Roberts. Now therefore, I, Mayor Robert B. Wheeler, on behalf of the City of CREEDMOOR Board of Commissioners, recognizes Ernie Anderson for his years of service to the CREEDMOOR community.
Amen.
Second thing I need to do while I'm up here is, Roger Morgan Elliott Jr. Oh, by the way, after I showed Tahoe, if it messes up or something, you just let that one. All right. Raise your right hand, place your left hand on the Bible, repeat after me. I, Roger Morgan Elliott Jr.
Roger Morgan Elliott Jr.
Do solemnly swear that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws of the United States, the Constitution and laws of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the United States,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
that I will be alert and vigilant
that I will be alert and vigilant
to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
to enforce the criminal laws of the state,
that I will not be influenced
that I will not be influenced
in any manner on account
in any manner on account
of personal bias or prejudice,
of personal bias or prejudice,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
execute the duties
execute the duties
of my office as police officer
of my office as police officer
with the CREEDMOOR Police Department,
of the CREEDMOOR Police Department,
according to the best of my skill
according to the best of my skill
abilities and judgment.
abilities and judgment.
So help me God. Congratulations. Say something, either one. While you're in that old, Chief King used to say, make sure you stick it in deep. Would you like to say anything?
I'd like to give CREEDMOOR a thank you for giving me the ability to be able to help the community, and to be able to serve to the best of my ability. If there's anything the community needs, please let me know, and I'll be able to help them to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Amen.
Just for the record, in case I get emails, I was kidding about overlooking the infractions the mayor made. I'll get emails about that if I don't say something. All right, at this time, we're moving on to item 7, request to address the board. Where's my sign-up sheet? Oh, okay. Then, well, let me go ahead and do this. That's, 7A, CREEDMOOR City Tavern request a temporary closure of East Mill Street from Main to Chief Street. Deputy Parrott.
I guess y'all want me to tell you what we want to do?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so, we feel pretty strongly, we have a very large, community of veterans, at City Tavern. And we took over new management, Tara, Allen, and myself, Steph Berry, in December. And we worked very hard to, make it a place that is somewhere that everyone can be, and that is somewhere that is a hub for, the community, not just a dark little bar. So we worked very hard to do that, and we've got open mics, we've got all kinds of stuff going on, family activities that, people can come and cornhole, stuff like that. So what we wanted to do for our veterans was to have a fall festival, and we want to, in turn, support the vendors, local vendors, and have those there. We've also got, we've got a bounce house, face painting, all kinds of stuff for the families, just so they can kind of get a look at who we are now, and what we want to do with the community, and how we want to stand with the community. So, in that vein, we'd like to shut down the street, and we would like to have our little fair. We've got a couple of bands that'll be over by 11 o'clock, and we are going to take those proceeds and sponsor the food for the Veterans Day breakfast, and we're going to serve it ourselves. We're very service called, this is a very close thing to our hearts, because we love our veterans, and they've done so much for us, and they're so good. They have such great stories. Just, they deserve more than I think they get a lot. So we're going to do that, and whatever we have left over, if we have anything, we'll go to the Veterans Life Center of Grand Hills. So that's what we want to do.
What, before you go, what date was that?
It is October 7th, 2023. It's a Saturday.
In other words, you want to be a place where everyone knows your name.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Ish told me about this after she met with you, and I think it's wonderful. I'm so glad that somebody is also trying to help us with our veterans in the community, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be wonderful. Thank you for volunteering to do the food and serving. It means an awful lot. We had 2.5 tables of the people, of the guys from the Veterans Life Center there last year, because they didn't have anything like this. So you won't have to go far to send the food back.
Yeah, it's nothing. I hope y'all will come as well. I'll be invited. Please come.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Wilkins, any questions or comments?
Veterans Committee liaison, just thank you so much for what you do.
Absolutely.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. Can't wait to come.
Mr. Gleason, any comments or questions?
No questions, it's very nice, very glad to, hope to be there.
Mr. Way?
No questions. Thank you for what you're doing.
All right, I think everybody's in favor of it, but just so we can make this official, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Say what it is.
Yeah, that helps a little bit. Okay, now he's thrown me completely.
I'm sorry.
We have a motion by Commissioner Wilkins to close Mill Street, I believe is what you're at, East Mill Street from Main to Chief Street on October 7th from when to when?
We're going to close at 3 so that we can do vendor setup, and then we'll be done by 11. And we anticipate going ahead and opening the street at that point because all of the main stuff.
Okay, what time do you want it closed?
We would like it to be closed at 3 if possible.
3, and then open back up at 11?
Yes, sir.
All right, and, do we need anything else in that motion?
I think that covers it.
Okay. Motion that I've just stated by Commissioner Wilkins. Any other comments, questions? Not seeing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. You're all set?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I'm not getting ahead of myself again. Item 8, public comment. First one on the list, Mr. Raymond Ray. Bobby, if you state your name and address just for the record, and then the floor is yours. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Raymond Ray. I'm called Bobby. Been called that for the last 7 to 8 years, so I guess that's close to my name I'm remembered by. What I come around here for tonight is to find out what's going on with the zoning. I found out that I was zoned Main Street business, and I was wondering how I got that way, so I done a little checking and found out that y'all didn't have nothing to do with changing the zoning. The problem is with Main Street zoning is no outside storage at all. So quoted on the letter here that I got. And I was wondering how the Chevrolet place had used cars and new cars sitting on the lot. If they have no storage, I mean, how you going, they can't get them all inside the Chevrolet place up there. And I was wondering why the Southern States over here's got all the flowers, gates, iron sitting outside. And all I've got some lawnmowers sitting out there, and it's hard to make it, lawnmowers sitting out anything besides lawnmowers. You can't make a silk purse out of sow's-ear. They're gonna look bad. And I don't know no way of doing that. I'm trying to get a fence up, but they don't seem to be, the codes enforcers don't seem to be in favor of that, or after he told me that he thought I could get by with that, I reckon it was my fault. I took it for granted when what he spoke, I could. And now I've got a letter, when I got back off a little vacation this past weekend, saying that I'm gonna get searched. And I was wondering what that had to do with my zoning, since I've got 2 pages of zoning wrote up on me. I thought they'd done looked at everything they needed to look at. Or how did I get charged with all of them and they hadn't looked at them? And I'd like, just some type of letting me know why all this is going on all of a sudden with me. I've been in business there since, me and Daddy's been in business, that was in business there since, I think April of '64 is when we moved around there, March or April of '64. We've been there ever since. We've tried to always work with the town. We worked for the town a lot back in them days when they had a lot of gas equipment. But it's always been a shop there. It's been a shop there since before the war, because I think Mr. Chappell he had a tractor shop in there before the war, anyway. And what's all this changed and why has it come out such a big problem in the last, say, 2 years? I'd like to know. I mean, if I missed in somebody's cornflakes or something, let me know. I mean, I'd like to get it straight with you. I'm sorry I did, but I'm trying to run a business around there. And it's hard to have a business that you work on other people's stuff and put it in a 25 by 60 building. I mean, so that's my question to the board.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ray. We will look into it for you. All right, next on the list, John Wilkerson.
John Wilkerson, 308 South Main Street, CREEDMOOR. I am here to talk to the board to see if we can get any interest in the city of CREEDMOOR starting a farmer's market next year. I have reached out to several people. They've got a lot of responses back from different ones wanting to sell produce, wanting to jellies and other food items, as well as can't think of the right word now, but anything, things that you make and bring there. And I would like to see it done so there's got fewer restrictions than has been in the past. Don't have any county line limits. I mean, we got the Wake County line 3 miles down the road. If you live 2 miles on the other side of it, I'd like for you to be able to come. In Franklin County, I saw somebody responded to my post that they had moved to Granville County and they would like to come back and sell jellies or something, or in other counties, but to have it more open and for people to come and offer different things. I think there's an opportunity for that to happen. I've also looked around and finding a space for it is kind of restricted from anything that might be city-owned. So I don't know what the city can do so far as looking at private properties that could the owners be talked to see if they can work out anything. I have one suggestion that was given to me was this parking lot out here would be a place to have it on Saturdays. The back lot of Hobgood Heating and Air down on 56 down there would be an available area. I went by there to see them this morning and told her I'd get a call back, haven't yet. Another thing may be the Methodist Church down here. But to start off with, until it gets the ball gets rolling, they don't know how many people would show up. And one of the thoughts has been, if here's a parking lot up here at the senior center, well, if you could have maybe three Saturdays in a row, you could go there and have it, but 4 Saturdays somebody's coming in and rents this place and they want it all, so that's not going to really work out well. But I'm finding out that there is a lot of support, and I'm asking for this board to get in behind this and join up as well, and let's get a city of CREEDMOOR farmers market going next year.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkins.
Yes, sir, Mr. Wade.
Pass that back over to her. Okay. We move on now to item 9, old business. 9A, traffic schedule ordinance amendment.
So if y'all recall, I believe it was in your August regular meeting, you approved the changes to the city's traffic schedule. This is simply an ordinance amendment memorializing that change. It effectively just attaches the amended charter and gives those traffic changes the effective city rule.
Make a motion, we accept the new changes to the traffic schedule.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the ordinance amendment as presented by the city attorney. Any questions or comments? Any down that way? Make sure this thing won't do that anymore. All right, not seeing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. And Sarah, that was made by Commissioner Gleason, I believe. Okay. All right. 9B, Hester Road upset bid offers. City Manager.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, on August the 9th, 2023, the city of CREEDMOOR received an upset bid offer of $275,225 on the Hester Road property, which was designated as surplus a couple of years ago. The required public notice was once again sent out and advertised in the Button of CREEDMOOR paper for a 10-day period from August 18th through August 28th. At the close of business on August the 28th, no other bids had been received upon the receipt of that current bid, $275,225. The city originally paid $128,000 for this property in 2013.
I'm sorry, how much?
$128,000 in 2013. And as you all know, we've had several upset bids. One in May of $236,600. Another one in July for $248,480. Another upset bid, July 28th, for $260,964. And the current bid, $275,225. The board's being asked this evening to consider the options of accepting the current offer of $275,225, reject the offer, or negotiate some other amount.
All right. Everybody has heard the report from the city manager. Commissioner Wilkins, any questions or comments? Commissioner Way, questions or comments? Commissioner Kuczynski?
No comment.
Commissioner Gleason?
No comment.
And Mayor Pro Tem?
No, sir, no comment.
All right. At this time, I will entertain wishes from the board.
Make a motion, we accept the last bid, $275,225.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Gleason to accept the most recent bid, $275,225.60. Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Kuczynski.
This is a question for Mr. Turner. I know that when we started this, our real estate agent said that he could possibly get us $365. Is it looking like that's not gonna happen?
It does. He had another showing Sunday, actually, of this week, and no one has offered any bids any different than what we've received to date, so that's the last one we've got.
Okay.
And I assume that the other people involved in this have been notified of what the last bid was?
Yes, sir. Wallace Piper notifies them each time the bid's upset, everyone on the list.
Okay. All right, we have a motion on the floor. Any further questions? All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. All right, City Manager, thank you so much for the work and hours you spent on that. And if you'll pass that along to Mr. Piper too.
Yes, sir.
All right. 9C, update on Furbo Utility relocation and Clifton Avenue projects. Mr. Frangos.
Sitting on the bride's side tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. I come to you with not so good news, unfortunately. We have not been very successful in our attempts to gain a contractor willing to perform the two bid openings that we had most recently. We did receive one bid for the Furbo Street utility relocation, and that was from T.A. Loving Company and Pipeline Utilities. But that bid came in at over 2 times the engineer's estimate. The original estimate with contingency was for $143,800. The bid total that came in was $308,308. Not an acceptable bid, I don't think, by anybody's measure.
Is that for both?
Again?
Is that for both?
No, I wish that would be great.
I just thought I'd throw that out.
That'd be great, but no. It was very clear that it was strictly for the utility relocation, and the itemized bid did break out that project in detail. So this was the second attempt at soliciting bids for this project, and I will just say, I feel we pulled out every stop we could. We had direct phone calls to companies from our design engineer. We had direct phone calls from our friends at Seguasa. We put it on the Beacon bid system. We've tried everything, and we can't get a good competitive bidding situation there. So my recommendation to you, and it goes the same for both of these, is to try again. I think the only course of action we have is to try again. But of course, I'm open to suggestions. The second project, unfortunately, the Clifton Avenue project with the Conway residents, we did not receive any bids on that project. Now, this was the first attempt, and these both were informal bids, but the idea that with the Clifton Ave project, we definitely called and spoke with at least 4 contractors, a total 5 actually, and 2 of them actually took down the plans and looked at them and returned them to us neatly and said, no thank you, which, it's challenging situation. Obviously, these are small jobs, but we were looking for small companies to handle them, and again, we did not receive even one bid on that regard, so. I think our only action is to go forward. We certainly owe it to the Conways. We can't continue to wait. There's no reason to wait. In regard to Furbo, it's kind of like a ticking time bomb, I feel. I feel that the longer we wait, I think we're maybe one good tropical storm and a few inches of heavy rainfall away from a calamity. And it's not that right now, and certainly it's in place and firm right now. But I think one big storm could, cause us all great difficulties down there. So, open to suggestions. Let me know.
Mayor Pro Tem, any questions? Commissioner Kuczynski.
This is sad news. I know that did we reach out to Seguasa to see if they would be willing to manage this project themselves?
We've asked that of Scott, and he hasn't gotten back to us, at least as far as I know.
Okay, well, he's been a little busy for the past few days. I got that.
A little busy. Yeah, he had another pipe burst. I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay. Now, this is a Kevin question. Task Order 12 for Furbo Street was agreed to as a turnkey project where Wooten would manage the bidding project, procurement, awarding of a contract, construction, administration, and engineering. We are doing the bidding process. We are doing the procurement. Again, this is a contract with a vendor who's not providing what we contracted with them to do.
I think that's a reasonable interpretation. I don't know, Mike, is it the city's position, or at least your impression so far, that we have been doing what they can now that the bid packages as prepared?
I really do feel that they've tried the best that they can, but nobody can make a contract.
Right. But we're now using a bidding software that was suggested to us by someone else, and we're doing it on our own. So that's the point I'm making, is if we get a contractor to give us a bid that we can accept, what is our, fallback with I mean, it's just not an answer tonight. Just something to think about, because they promised to do all these things and they're not delivering.
Yeah, I understand that, and I think that's a bridge that we'll cross if we have to cross it. It's what happens if cities' own efforts, independent of Wooten, result in the receipt of a bid rather than Wooten procuring bids for the city on the city's behalf.
Yeah.
But I think at this point, we need a bid in hand before we're even in a
Right.
position to start.
So I think we should probably put it back out for bid after and keep seeing if Seguasa will be willing. It's their equipment. And if there is a calamity, it's them that are gonna have to end up fixing it at their cost. So it would behoove them to help us get this done. That's just my opinion.
Mr. Wilkins.
No, sir.
Commissioner Gleason.
Has there been any discussion with pipeline utilities with negotiation or,
No. After the bid, we wanted to come here to the board and give you the opinion, or the opportunity, I guess, if you wanted to formally reject it, or if you did maybe want me to try to counteroffer, but why would they come off their price? I mean, they gave us a price. We haven't presented them anything differently.
I kind of agree with you, one thing that you said, we're like one good tropical storm away from who knows what.
Yeah.
That's a problem for us and Seguasa. And I think maybe if we kind of try to sit down with Scott and try to maybe wrangle Seguasa a little bit into looking a little harder at this, and
we've tried. I mean, just to let you know, certainly we did sit down, have a meeting. Carl, Mr. Sterner and I did all sit down and try, and he helped us with Beacon Bids, and he helped us to even get Loving Company and Pipeline to even bring us anything to the table. Certainly, it's not an acceptable bid. It's on the table.
City Manager.
Well, as the board knows, just last week I reached out to Scott and told him the dilemma that we were in. After a little bit of thought, he said he would be glad to take a look at this project, wanted to talk with his staff first and see if it was a project he thought they could do and how much savings, if any, that they could save CREEDMOOR, since it's their infrastructure, and we're going to be paying somebody, why not pay Seguasa, who owns the system? So, Scott told me to reach back out at him this week to get an answer to see where he was, so I'll do that and see hopefully get some good news from him.
All right, thank you, sir. Commissioner Wade.
Have we spoke to the contractors in front of the fire station?
We have spoken to them on several occasions. We never asked them about this one. I don't know if Carl did the others now. We're in close contact with them, but I don't think they're public utility contractors. Again, it's a different kind of certification that you have to be. I'm not sure if Brad is.
Find out.
It's one of those requirements, of course, right, to work on a water and wastewater system, that you have to be a certified public utility. I don't know if Brad qualifies.
We could maybe reach out.
Yeah.
Mike, can we also ask him about Clifton? Is that something he would entertain either?
Clifton, he should be able to do.
Yeah, Clifton, they would be able to do.
I mean, since they're already in Creedmoor, maybe they can stick around since they got equipment here.
I think the struggle is always that these are small jobs for these companies. I think they have bigger fish that they could get to frying sooner than sticking around for just something little like this, but that wouldn't hurt to ask.
That's smaller than Clifton.
Well, we'll keep them busy.
We'll keep them busy, we promise.
Busy. We promise. We'll keep you busy through the rest of the year.
Yeah. They are operating there, we all know, on DOT's, on-call contracts, so we would likely be trying to pull them away from DOT, but it's worth it a go. No doubt, it's worth a go.
All right, Commissioner Kuczynski.
So, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we reject the bid from Pipeline Utilities, put this back out for bid, and try to work with Seguasa and the other agencies that we can.
City manager, did you get all that?
Yes, sir, I did.
Sarah, did you get that? All right. We have a motion on the floor as presented by Commissioner Kuczynski. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. All right.
I'm gonna stick around for the next one.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Mhm.
9D, water and sewer allocation, Commissioner Kuczynski.
Okay, so we talked about at our August 21st work session, the sewer and water allocation discussion, and the last sentence of this says Mayor Wheeler told Frangos that the board would take a look into it and get back to him. I would like us to, if we have 5 homeowners waiting to build, I would like to release enough allocation so that that can happen out of the non-commercial. And I would like to release the allocation we had set aside for the police department, because I don't personally believe that's gonna happen in the next 5 years. I mean, if somebody on this board feels like that's not gonna happen, or that is gonna happen sooner, then let me know, but and then if the fire department decides that they're not gonna build and they give us back the allocate, we could put that back where we took it from this time. But I don't wanna hold up any more homeowners from building. We do have 5 that are waiting, right?
I don't think we're up
4 or
to
5?
I was trying to rack my brain on it today. I know I turned away one fully, and I know I have a second one that is a pending application. So I can put my fingers on 2
Okay,
right now.
all right.
That would be 250 gallons. I'm sorry, I messed it up again. 225 gallons now with the new session law that went into play on June 1.
Okay.
23. So 75 gallons per bedroom for a total of 225 gallons
Times 2,
times 2.
that's 450, yeah.
That puts us within the 510 gallons that was reserved particularly for the City Hall expansion without touching volunteer fire department's allocation, without touching the non-residential.
Okay,
Good.
that's what I would like to
We
do.
can take that at least and solve this problem. Now, it doesn't help for the next
Right.
one that might come in later.
Right.
I'll be back here before you all then.
That's fine, that's what we do, we work together.
So, I could bring you all an amended resolution at the next meeting in, late September. And we'll go ahead and put that, 510 into the residential category.
That's good.
Thank you, Mr. Frangos.
We have to vote on that.
Yes.
Do we vote now or after?
Well, you've given me direction. If you all feel good on the direction, I'll come back with the actual resolution
And we'll vote
next time. So we're going on consensus now.
Okay, yeah, that'll be fine, as long as the attorney's good with that.
No action being taken at the moment. You'll take action when Mike brings the resolution.
And I'll definitely be able to let those applicants know that now, after that August meeting, there will be some available for them.
September meeting.
Thank you.
Anything else, Commissioner Kuczynski, on that topic? All right, we move on to item 10, new business. 10A, discussion on mayor's term limits. City attorney, but before you comment on this, as the sitting mayor, let me comment that this in no way is something that I requested. I did it 6 years ago because of educational purposes and for a mayor, new mayors to be able to have more than 2 years to get used to the job and fall in. That did not move forward, and I have not approached it since then. So I just want it clear that this is a board decision, and I have nothing to do with this. I don't want it to look like I'm promoting my position to be 4 years. Anyway, that's a disclaimer I wanted to throw out there. City attorney.
So, as y'all are likely already aware, a few commissioners had, requested, I guess, some input from me about whether we might be able to amend the city charter, to expand the mayor's term and assuming we can do that, which I believe we can, whether it's possible to do that ahead of these upcoming elections. As you'll see in the email included in your agenda package, I think the answer to both those questions is that it's possible. However, I would recommend that we not do that in this election cycle. We wait until after this. First, I think there are some open questions that I just don't have answers to about whether that's, there are issues with the county board of elections or the state board of elections that would prevent us from changing the described or advertised term for mayor after that's already been published. I also think that there are kind of general public perception issues. We don't want to create the potential for some appearance of impropriety here that we're trying to kind of bait and switch and change the mayor's term with only a few months left. I think ultimately my advice is that we likely can change the mayor's term, but that I would recommend that we not do it until
2025.
Well, and like I said, I'm staying out of this discussion, but can they go ahead and take care of it now to go into effect at the next election, rather than wait till after this election?
Right. I believe that our first step is to adopt an ordinance or a resolution stating the board's intent to change the city charter. I think there's no reason why we can't do that now before the 2023 election. If we want to make sure that the recitals of any ordinance or resolution are clear that it's not intended to affect the 2023 election, it's intended to go into effect for the 2025 election. I think that we want to be careful proceeding that way, because again, adopting that ordinance now might confuse folks or create some miscommunication or misunderstanding about exactly what it is that the city is doing. My recommendation, I think, would be to adopt that ordinance immediately following the 2023.
I was about to ask you that. That's what I was about to ask you.
We don't have to kick it 2 years down the
Right.
road.
Day after, next meeting after.
Right. I think that would be my recommendation. So there's no miscommunication or cross wires with respect to when this change becomes applicable.
All right, I'm going to start this direction. Commissioner Way, any questions?
Public, no questions. Wait for the public.
Commissioner Gleason?
No, I brought this up probably 8 years ago at a public comment, where I felt that the mayor, we've been fortunate to have mayors that have been consistent for some years, but it could be possible that a mayor would change at the end of 2 years. You barely get to learn your job after a year, and then you're already politicking for the next term. So I really would like to see the mayor's term changed, or charter changed after this election to elect the mayor for 4 years.
And a lot of times, and I'll mention this, the mayor comes from the city commissioners. A commissioner decides after a year or two they want to run for the mayor, so they have a feeling. But in my situation, and it could be in the future, I had never been a commissioner, so it was all brand new for me. Even though I've been here long enough, I had a pretty good idea what I was getting into, which should have told me something then. Mayor Pro Tem.
So Kevin, the only discrepancies you said between doing it now and doing it after the election is just to make sure that the citizens don't get any miscommunication or think something else is going on other than just changing of.
Right, I think from the city's perspective, we'll also need to confirm with the state board of elections and the county board of elections that there are no practical problems on their end. If we want to pursue making this charter amendment effective for the current election cycle. So, I can't definitively tell you today that we will be able to do it if this board decides to move forward with making this change effective for 2023.
Commissioner Kuczynski.
Well, since I was the one who brought it up 4 years ago, and knew I didn't have the support to go through with it, so we didn't. I would like to see this change, but I would like you to find out if we could do it for this election. If there was an opposing person, I would agree. Let's not do that, because that's bait and switch, and I don't like that. But since he's unopposed, why not? Give it a try. I mean, if they tell us no, they tell us no. But if not, let's do it now if we can. That's just my opinion.
Commissioner Wilkins.
As I said in my email, I'm good with 2023 or 2025, whichever we're able to do.
Okay, so what do you need from us?
Well, I suppose if anybody feels particularly strongly one way or the other, you can make a motion and a vote, providing specific direction. I think alternatively, what I can do is reach out to the state and county board of elections and see what they have to say about any practical concerns on their end with changing our charter and making that change effective for 23. And I can try to have an answer for you by our work session this month.
Because I think the key is unopposed. It shouldn't be an issue.
Right.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Gleason.
And I guess this is for Kevin. Voting starts in about 3 weeks. I mean, that sounds to me like an almost impossible task. If ballots are probably already going to be printed in maybe a week.
Right, and that's my concern, is that, I suppose I can't say for certain off the top of my head. I don't recall any ballot that I've ever seen stating a specific term on it. But, I do have, I suppose, some question about whether there might be, filing or kind of bureaucratic issues with the Board of Elections kind of on the back end, that changing the terms, the term length this close to the election might interfere with. I just, the tautology, I just don't know what I don't know at this point. So we have to figure that out, and we have to do that fairly quickly. And that's kind of where my public perception concern comes from, is, making this kind of change this close to an election, I think never looks great, even if Mayor Wheeler is running unopposed. You wonder if folks might say, well, had I known that his term would be increased 4 years, I might have, thrown my hat in the ring somewhat. Not that I think Mayor Wheeler has done anything that would, cause folks.
That's all right, I understand.
But when you file, don't the filing documents say you're filing for a 2-year term? Or a 4-year term?
Right, and those are the questions that I would like to.
I could not tell you.
I couldn't either, but.
Right.
I have no problem with either, but.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me either.
Whatever you can get done quickly.
All right.
Commissioner Kaczynski.
You need a motion?
Yeah.
It sounds like where we are is there's kind of a general consensus that, I'll come back at the work session, hopefully with an answer about, from the Board of Elections about whether or not this is a change that they could put into effect on their end for 2023 or not. And assuming that they could do it, it sounds like there's support for that. It also sounds like if they can't do it, it is what it is.
I make a motion that we, ask our city attorney to check with the Board of Elections, state and county, to determine whether we can get the mayor's term extended to 4 years in this election, or if it has to wait to 2025. And whatever you come back with, then we'll vote to extend his term to a 4-year term.
If they, do say it's a possibility.
We're not going to tell you, don't you worry about it.
Yeah, I might run screaming into the night. Is there any, if they say, yeah, you can do it all, but you have to have this and this and this done before such and such date.
Right.
Is that going to create any?
Depends on what that date is.
Right, and I think you also note in the email that I sent out, there is a possibility if the public wishes to object to a charter amendment like that, then they would have to, the issue would be put to a referendum. which means that it would be placed on the 2023 ballot, which means that, no final decision would be able to be made in 2023 anyway. So I suppose that's the risk that we run, right, is if we choose to make that charter amendment now, and if there is, some kind of public backlash or opposition to it, and a referendum is called, then that just, it's kind of dead in the water, at that point anyway. And so, that's something that we should be aware of.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. But we do have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Kuczynski. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I'm sorry, I started to vote no. All right, let's see, that was 10A. 10B, Mr. Faines. I believe this is up to you.
All right, good evening, Mayor, Board.
Hello.
So at the last work session, I brought before you the financial summary report for July. So I'm back with you again for the month of August. The same format that was presented to you all the last time. So at the top portion, you see your general fund revenues. You see at the end of August, the collection percentage was at 5%. And quick things to note, in August, we received the July Avalon and stormwater taxes from the county. So you see that number listed there as well. And then one thing to point out as well is investment earnings. You see we're at 32% there, so doing extremely well compared to what was budgeted in this fiscal year. So we're expecting to see a good surplus in that area at the end of the fiscal year. Then if you come down to your general fund expenditures, you see we're sitting at 23% used for the fiscal year thus far. Then below you have the stormwater fund and the power bill fund, listing the percentage for revenues and expenditures there. Another thing to note that the budget amendment number 1 has been keyed into the system, so you will see that revised budget number there as well. Then another note that I have on there is we will receive July sales and use tax disbursement, the first collection for this fiscal year in this current month of September. So when I bring you the financial summary for September, you will see that sales and use tax for July. If you don't have any questions regarding the financial summary, I just want to give a little quick update for us where we stand with the audit. As you know, the audit season has started at the beginning of July 1st, 2023. I reached out to our auditors well before the fiscal year ended to get the list of documents that they needed so I can begin preparing for the FY23 audit. I have then sent them their requested information that they needed. They are scheduled to be on site the 19th of this month to review additional requested documents that they have sent and we have pulled for them so far, and to review those items any other questions that they may have while they're here on site. But so far, I'm pretty comfortable and confident that we're going to be on pace at the deadline, which there's October 31st deadline, but they give you a 30-day built-in extension after that, if needed. My goal is to have it wrapped up pretty soon and as quick as possible. So I just wanted to give you all where we stand so far in FY23 with the audit so far.
Any questions? Excellent. Well, I almost got you an excellent.
I had my hand right here.
Commissioner Kuczynski.
Thank you for this. I appreciate the way it's presented. It's very easy to understand. I'm looking at the recreation line under general fund expenditures, and so far spended $81,769, and encumbrance $16,000 in the first month of the year,
First 2 months. So in that.
July and August. Yeah.
So of that as well, the encumbrance is including the PO roll from FY '23 as well.
Okay,
So that encumbrance number that you see is any PO that rolled over from the previous fiscal year
okay.
and this current fiscal year as well.
And the only other thing is Powell Bill Fund expenditures, 4666. What did we spend that money on? We haven't repaired any roads that I'm aware of. Am I missing? Or did we take something out for one of our projects, Mr. Frangos?
Yeah, I have to give you the actual, what the actual expenditure was, if you would like. I don't have the actual details.
Okay.
What the actual expenditure was.
I believe that may be the repairs
Oh,
or they did in Davenport
Davenport
neighborhood,
and Whitehall.
Whitehall for where they had to go back and do the trench repairs.
Yeah, yeah, I forgot about that.
Nature.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right, that takes care of 10B. We move down to discussion items, which were transferred from the consent agenda, and I will turn that over to the city attorney.
That's right, and so I'll discuss these, what were listed as items 5B, C, and D, kind of as a bundle, because they're all related to one another. And these relate to the 4 vehicles that you all declared as surplus as part of agenda item 5A under the consent agenda this evening. I think that there are some plans that, with respect to how to go about disposing of or distributing those. There are 2 vehicles, and this is for agenda item 5E, and this is the resolution that I've prepared, and I think you all should have copies in front of you. I believe that Chief Wheelis has spoken with folks at Vance Granville Community College about selling 2 of the surplus vehicles to them. Under state law, we'll have to declare, to approve a resolution authorizing the sale of personal property valued at less than $30,000. In order to do that through a privately negotiated sale. So that's the resolution that's in front of you, is authorizing that sale, that private negotiation, and then sale of those 2 vehicles. Item 5C, I believe Chief Wheelis had planned to donate another one of those surplus vehicles, the South Granville High School. We can't take any action on that tonight. We need to, but I think what we can do is direct Barbara to advertise the donation at least 5 days before our work session meeting, because those sorts of donations require 5 days, minimum 5 days notice prior to the action authorizing the donation of surplus personal property. So, we need some guidance or direction on that this evening. And then I believe 5D, so 5D, we need some direction again from you all on how you'd like to dispose of the 2013 Charger. We can proceed in a similar manner to what we've done with the upset bidding process for real property in the past. We can solicit an initial bid or offer for the 2013 Charger. Then we follow that same 10-day public notice and an upset bidding period process until we receive the highest responsive qualifying bid, at which time then you could accept that offer in the same way you all did tonight for Hester Road. There are also some other options for sale and distribution of surplus personal property that we can walk through, but I think that that's likely the one that is the most efficient for us to follow
here, unless we have an interested party already, lined up and ready to make an offer. Now, I know that has a lot thrown at you there, so if y'all have any questions, I'm happy to back up or hopefully answer them.
Commissioner Kuczynski.
So we do it like an upset bid process on the car?
For the 2013 Dodge Charger, that's right. So, with, property, the city can enter into private, we talked about this, I think, with some of the real property in the past. The city can privately negotiate for a purchase price or purchase offer. And I think, we have kind of two options once an initial offer is made. If the initial offer, if the property sold is personal property and it's valued at less than $30,000, there's no need to go through the upset bidding process. You can enter into a private sale. The board just needs to adopt a resolution authorizing that, like the one that's in front of you for the two 2014 Chargers this evening. But if we don't have an offer on the table already for the 2013, we can either take no action and Chief Wheelis can speak with folks, Mike can speak with folks and see if there might be any interested parties out there for it. Once we receive an initial offer, then we can bring a new resolution back to you, similar to the one you got in front of you this evening. Otherwise, we can kind of advertise it for sale, and then assuming we receive an offer at that point, then we can figure out how we need to proceed, whether that's through an upset bidding process or whether it's through privately negotiated sale in a separate resolution.
Do we set a minimum amount for the vehicle? I mean, somebody just can't come up and say, I'll give you $1, nobody else talks, so we're going.
Right, and so we can do that, as you'll see, the resolution that's being establishes a minimum purchase price. We're not required to do that by law, so if the city felt that the 2013 Charger was worth less than, these ones, we can certainly establish a lower minimum. We also don't need to establish a minimum, and you can allow city staff to negotiate what they feel is the most appropriate purchase price. And just keep in mind that any sale would have to then come back to you for final approval.
And we would have like some sort of a donation form for the car we're donating to the high school, and so our finance director could write off whatever value it had on our budget, right?
Yeah, we would get some sort of acknowledgement from them that they purchased the vehicle, or that
they accepted a donation.
Okay. That might have otherwise been valued at X dollars.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have $8,000 here each, and I think it might be $8,000 to put a transmission in a Dodge Charger.
Those are for the best grade.
Yeah.
And the reason, I use that valuation because I think Chief Wheelis had dug up some valuations on those. That were right around, I think 8,000 was the lowest number. So I figured we'll establish that as a floor for the negotiation there.
But they accepted the offer, didn't they? I got an email on August 4th. That looks like they're accepting the... Okay. So one will be at 8, one will be at 9.
And the 2813, if I may add a comment to that, they looked at repairing that vehicle, and we're told it's just not worth the repairs, it will sink into it. So we also looked at GovDeal and Enterprise to auction those vehicles, and we were told after the towing fee of about $125 and a $400 processing fee to do this auction, we would be lucky if we broke even. So the chief tells me he's had 4 or 5 people approach him wanting to buy that vehicle. So we'll reach out to one of those and get a bid from one of them and let that start the upset bid process. I mean, he was offered $2,000 for the vehicle, so.
How's the chief's auction voice?
I could see that being the mayor's car, that Dodge Charger with no issues. Put me a little blue light, I can stop those trucks from going up there. Okay, any questions down at this end?
Mr. Moore.
I think the only action we need this evening is to approve if the board is comfortable with that resolution.
All right, not seeing any more questions, I'll entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-R-04. That is the one you're talking about.
So moved.
Motion is made by Commissioner Wilkins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. Thanks, sir. All right, we move now. I'm sorry.
Selling land, selling cars, selling everything.
Yeah, and we don't even feel like we ripped anybody off. 12A, City Manager's Report.
I'm gonna pass out my remarks. One of the commissioners asked me if I would hand this out. In the past, I've just been reading this in addition to the reports that you get from staff. So, first couple items I want to bring to the board's attention is city and county staff and attorneys for both have reached an agreement on the interlocal agreement between Granville County and the city of CREEDMOOR for shared grant writing services. It is being presented to the Board of County Commissioners this evening, and if all goes well, it will be on your work session on the 18th to review and comment as well. I have asked to be included on the interview panel once this selection process begins. City's consulting service agreement with Pritchard Steinbach Group is scheduled to expire on October the 8th. Alan is currently overseeing an internal agreement with Allison Analytic, which you've met with McAdams Company, who assisted the city with the submittal of a $320,000 grant request to the United States Department of Transportation for sidewalk planning and design services. The current PO for PSG was issued on May the 5th of 2021 and has continued to roll over for several years. The remaining balance on that PO right now is $10,658 and was part of this year's rollover. Under the terms of the current PSG agreement, one additional one-year renewal is allowed when initiated through a letter of notification. After speaking with the city attorney, that letter was issued on August 14th, 2023 to extend the performance of the agreement from October 8, 23 to October 8, 24. And in addition, the board approved another $20,000 in the FY '24 budget to continue consulting services with PSG. You may recall I reduced the amount from $40,000 to $20,000 because we didn't need all of that and it wouldn't need to have it in the budget. So we've got that 10 plus the 20 if we get through that amount, and we'll continue as long as the board wishes to deal with Alan and provide the services that he does. NCODOT began the Elm and West Line Street stormwater piping crossover project on August 14th. The 18-inch reinforced pipe along the 150-foot apron is planned this week, along with milling of that apron, and DOT tells me they're planning to resurface the week of September the 11th. And Director Faines reported on the audit, and they'll be here on the 19th for various testing. And I've got 3 notes I received, thank you notes from outside agencies for the board's 2024 donation. One is from the Granville County Historical Society. Dear Mayor Wheeler and CREEDMOOR Board of Commissioners, on behalf of the Granville County Historical Society Board of Directors and Granville County Museum, we want to thank you for the donation. You will go a long way in the Historical Societies, maintain the Granville Museum operation, and provide funding for future programming. We appreciate your interest in our organization. If you wish to keep up with what we're accomplishing, you can visit our website and she gives the address. And this is from Mark Pace, President of the Granville County Historical Society. The second one is from Families Living Violence Free. Thank you for your donation. Your generosity has made the FLVF. Your contribution plays a large role in helping us to offer support to the many victims of domestic violence and sexual assault in our community. We believe strongly in our mission and are grateful to the donors like you for making it possible. Again, thank you. The last one is the Granville County Veterans Affairs Committee. On behalf of all veterans in Granville County, the Granville County Veterans Affairs Committee appreciates your generous donation. The committee could not provide programs, services, and individual assistance to our veterans without such donations. Thank you, Ann Williams, Secretary, Granville County Veterans Affairs Committee. And with that said, your questions, that concludes my comments.
All right, any questions of the city manager? All right, not hearing any, we will move on to Seguasa report. Whichever one of our representatives would like to say anything. Commissioner Way.
Commissioner Kuzinski and myself have both been in talks with Director Schroyer about the upgrades to the water treatment pump station that's located at Lake Rogers. When the pump station was built, it had equipment in place for chlorination, but however, it was never used and never operated and is obsolete now. So we have to upgrade the water treatment booster, I guess you could say, at the pump station. So that way it would better serve our community since our water's coming from the Butner water treatment plant. And due to the extreme temperatures of 100+ degrees with the humidity and the water in those pipes, by the time it reaches to parts of our community, the chlorination is pretty much non-existent, which causes some of the smell and things people are experiencing. So we're pushing that for a capital improvement to take place this year to get that under control. And we're also reapproaching some of those automatic flushers where they were notated during the water treatment study that was presented to us at the end of last year. I do not have Director Schroyer's report yet. He hasn't emailed it to us, but once that takes place and reviewed, I will email it to the board members. Do you have anything else, ma'am?
No, just thank you to everybody's cooperation for the inconvenience on Main Street. The DOT is what has shut Main Street down. It wasn't the city, it wasn't Seguasa, it's DOT rules that have shut that section of Main Street down. But they are going to start tearing it up, either tonight or first thing tomorrow morning, and try and get it back into an operational situation as fast as they possibly can. So, I know that it's causing some traffic havoc, and I want to thank the city manager and the chief of police for handling that at dark 30 this morning when we all found out. But we got it done, and it's going to only get better from here. So now we have a detour over here that sends you to the detour over there, which sends you to another way. So I'm not sure I'm glad I'm going that way. Chief's got a comment.
The last update that we got to texting was the road should be open sometime tomorrow afternoon. So the last update we got to texting.
But the water service is back where it needs to be.
Thank God it didn't happen next week or
But
2 weeks.
the water service is back where it needs to be.
We have had, there's one.
Fix the pipe and the water's flowing.
Well, as far as we know, there was no not service. There was nobody without service as far as we were aware. Mr. Schroyer never told us that citizens didn't have water. I saw one complaint on Facebook that said that that person had no water, but we were never notified.
So what happened with the pipe?
Pipe had a hole in it the size of a golf ball.
How did we find out that if nobody's water was affected?
Because the water was coming up from the ground.
Okay.
It was bubbling.
At least when we fixed it.
It was a splash pad.
Working on my splash pad.
At least when we fixed it, 3 other pipes didn't explode.
Yes, that's true.
Just in time.
All right, Commissioner's report. We'll start with Commissioner Way.
I have been in conference with email and telephone calls with a couple of people about different matters of what we just discussed with Seguasa about water smell and things of that nature. Reported them to Director Schroyer and the Customer Service Department, and technicians responded in the area of Creedmoor to start flushing hydrants due to our extreme high temperature of heat. I believe the music festival banner should go up tonight with the fire department putting it up. They're putting it up now?
They're out there.
Okay, so the fire department's using the ladder truck and they're putting up the music festival banner, so it'll be across Main Street tonight. And that's all I've got.
Commissioner Gleason.
I attended this month's CARTAT meeting. Had a very interesting presentation by a group that said some statistics that really hit me as an old guy. In North Carolina, 4 people die every day from falls. 365 people are hospitalized every day in North Carolina due to falls. This group that put on the presentation is now gonna go around to our senior centers and whatever and try to get groups of 12 people where they will work on different things, suggest, things that might make some of the, especially when half of these falls occur in a residence, some ideas on how to help our, senior citizens. Because I just got my geriatric testing last week in my physical. I was still able to draw a clock and put the hands on it.
Very good.
At the right time.
We were worried about that.
I left or asked a copy of Resolution 2021 R11, which was the resolution that created the DEI, at that time, commission. I'd like to have a new resolution created which creates the board with the right credentials is now the DEI advisory board. So we need a new, I'd like to get a new resolution for that. And also before our next work session, I'd just like everybody on the board to take a look at the functions in the attachment so that we can sit down as a group and agree on what we expect from the DEI committee and how we can work with the DEI committee to meet the expectations that we have from them. So basically that's all I'm asking. Look at what's there. You might have a different idea, a different thought. This was created by a completely different board. That might have had completely different ideas. So two things. First of all, I'd like to have the new resolution, which changes the name. Everything else on it is pretty much similar. And then I would like the board again before our next work session to look at these functions and if they have any different ideas. Yes.
If I may, are you hoping for me to have a new resolution available and ready to be acted on at our work session, or you want to just?
No, that would be at the October legislative meeting. I also attended the very, very, very successful back to school program that the PD did. It was magnificently attended. And really, for the first time, it was a tremendous success. And the last thing, a discussion was brought up about the farmer's market. And I'm all for the farmer's market. And in tonight's meeting, we approved closing a street for a period of time due to a function in that area. I just thought another idea, I'm certainly for getting together and putting together what we need to do to be able to create a farmer's market for next year. But the thought occurred to me that on Saturday mornings, I don't see why it would be necessarily a big problem to close down Sanford Street from Main Street to the city parking lot and use that street and both sides of that street for a farmer's market. That would leave the parking lot of City Hall open on Saturday, so people could park there, go to the farmer's market. So that's just an idea of how we could use that street to build a farmer's market in that area. That's all I have.
Is that a city street or is that DOT?
That's a city street.
Okay, just thought I'd throw that out there and double check. All right, thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem.
I don't really have anything that I have attended, from last month to this month, but I have been going to the community center and visiting Chris and my friends down there, and I've been having a really good time, so I'm gonna challenge you all to get down there with me and see what you can do. We've got some new, events coming up. We've got some, table tennis, I believe, and we also have some, cornhole tournaments coming up. So maybe we can get ourselves together and, maybe, have a little competition with the police department. maybe that'd be something that we could do. Have a little-
that sounds like fun.
Let's find somebody that will be competitive to us.
But anyway, that's pretty much all I've been doing, so.
You at the community at Harris Park.
Was that what?
Community at Harris Park.
Oh, yes, I was at the community at Harris Park. We did. We had hot dogs, and then we were at my place and we had hot dogs. And, yeah, at Sotheby's, we had hot dogs. So it's been good. I've been following the police department around eating hot dogs. But I've been having a great summer, so that's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Kuczynski.
Before I get into mine, if we're gonna do a resolution to change the DEI, why don't we change it to DEI committee? You mentioned committee 3 times in what you just said.
No, it's gonna be changed to the DEI advisory board.
Right, it went from commission to advisory board, but I'm saying if we're gonna do a whole new resolution, why don't we just call them DEI committee? That'd make it a lot easier. I mean, if we're gonna do a whole new resolution, let's just do it all. I mean, we can leave it the way it is, but I was just thinking.
The advisory board is that the advisory board advises, committees make decisions.
Oh, all right, okay, all right, well.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, that they shouldn't make decisions, but they are an advisory board.
Okay.
Kevin, you're gonna jump in now.
Go ahead.
It's just for what it's worth, and whether we call them a committee or commission and advisory board really is,
Viewpoint.
half, does the one, half doesn't, whatever the saying is.
Yeah.
But, it's all the same. I mean, it's not, just being called a commission or a committee doesn't make any difference with respect to the hours that they can, or the duties that they have. What establishes that is what's written in the resolution.
All right, your turn.
Is it my turn? Okay. So I attended the Harris Park, community event and Sotheby's community event with Emma and Commissioner Wilkins and the police department. Everybody seemed to be having a good time. And the ice cream was phenomenal, and went to Paddington and met people's children and grandchildren, and everybody seemed to have fun. So I thank the police department for their community outreach and doing all these things. And
one other thing too, especially one of our newer police officers, Jessica Laws. I know she was kind of instrumental in a lot of this stuff. If you will pass along the appreciation of the mayor and the board.
I'm good.
All right, we'll make sure it got thrown in there.
That's all right. Got very lucky to be at the school, the new opening of the Hawley Middle School orientation evening. The first day of school was a little rough, but we have got some absolutely amazing police officers who work very well with the administration of the Board of Education. And the first day, dismissal took between 45 minutes to an hour to get all the people off the property. There was one lady that was not happy. She let me know it, and of course, one of the police officers said I didn't smile enough, but I tried to smile. And I have an email here from William Graham that was only sent to me and the mayor, and I want to share it with everybody. Mayor Wheeler and Commissioner Kuczynski, I want to express our deep gratitude for your support as we open the new Hawley at the former CREEDMOOR campus. It was a journey not without challenges, but I'm happy to say we opened school on schedule and have had a good week. Your support helped make the process much smoother. Thank you. The afternoon pickup improved today, clearing the cars in 20 minutes. So remember, the first day was 45 minutes to an hour. This is Thursday. We're down to 20 minutes in clearing the cars out. As you have already noted, CREEDMOOR PD had a huge role in making this work. This is truly a collaborative effort, and I'm grateful that I am able to work with you. CREEDMOOR is fortunate to have such dedicated officials, as well as a stellar police department. And I watched this man run from one end of that campus to the other after he said he wasn't going to do it. But he did, because he saw the need and he did it. Him and Jessica and, Detective Cates, Harris, they were all out there. We didn't have anybody, we had one car cut through the cemetery, but there was no damage done, thank heavens. With the change that the chief and Jessica suggested to the school, they went from 45 minutes and an hour down to 25 minutes the next day. And still, no gridlock on Highway 56, not at that school. I understand there's gridlock at Mount Energy, and I talked to Mr. Graham and told him we would rent out the chief and Officer Laws to help them figure out that one next if they wanted to, but they've decided they're gonna hire an engineering firm to work that one out. It's Seguasa, between the Seguasa Water Road closure and over here on Elm Street, we have had a bit of challenge in the city. And I can only imagine the hardship for the fire department and the police department with all these road closures. The fire department's got to remember where in the world the trucks are parked, find the trucks, get to the trucks, and go to the trucks. But they're doing it, and I also wanted to say that Commissioner Way, I want to congratulate you on reaching out to county commissioners about a problem right out on the outskirts of the city of Creedmoor that needs to be addressed. It hasn't been, and we need it to. And hopefully we will have a turn light at Holy School Road and Highway 56 soon, because Commissioner May and I are tag teaming the DOT, and asking them to please get that traffic light up there so we can, start doing things there. Has anybody noticed that Holy School does have some sort of I think it's early college is...
Granville Academy.
Granville Academy is going on in that building, and I don't understand. I thought the building was closed for mold, but...
From what I understand, they're using just one specific area.
Yeah. The only other thing that I went to a CPRC meeting, there was conversation about the B.C. Roberts sign going up behind the backstop. I am absolutely not in favor of that. B.C. Roberts Field sign needs to be front, center, and prominent. It is a historical issue with people that have lived in this community for many, many years, and it should not be behind a backstop. It needs to be where it can be seen and people understand that the family donated this field to the city for its enjoyment. That's all I got.
Commissioner Wilkins. Thank you, sir. On Wednesday, August the 9th, the Veterans Organization held our regularly scheduled meeting, and we discussed the agreement on what the Veterans Memorial Monument should look like. We all agreed on the final version, which we got from the city manager. On Monday evening, August the 9th, I met with Commissioner Albright, City Manager Mike Turner, Steve Edwards of our Public Works Director, and Chris Horrigan, our Recreation Director, to finalize the type, placement, and design of the Veterans flag that we will place initially on Main Street and Rogers Lake. On Monday, August 14th, I attended the community cookout at Harris Park, and on Thursday, August 17th, the community cookout at Paddington Subdivision. On Wednesday, August 23rd, I attended a special call meeting of the Veterans Organization. We discussed the language to be put on the new monument. And it was decided the language would be as follows. Mr. City Manager, correct me if I'm wrong. The citizens of the city of Creedmoor dedicate this monument to honor those who served in the armed forces to protect the freedoms established by our founding fathers. I would like to thank Commissioner Kaczynski and the entire Veterans Organization for their dedication and input, and I want to thank Commissioner Kaczynski for spearheading our Veterans Breakfast, which will be held on November 11th. Subsequently, I met with City Manager Mike Turner, Mike Francos, our Community Development, Carl Barkley, our City Engineer, our Vice Chair of the Veterans Organization, Robert Gorham, and Veterans Organization member, Virgil Douglas. We discussed another placement for the monument, whose idea, I believe, initially came from Mayor Wheeler and others. By my count now, there has been 4 different locations discussed. One now down near the flagpole, by the top of the stairs, next to the concession stand, and last by the flower garden, replacing the area where the concession stand now stands. Mr. City Manager, I'm making a request. I'm requesting that these 4 locations and 8 other potential locations be put on our work session agenda
September 18th meeting, so the board can vote on a final location, that all the requirements needed to make this monument get ready, built for next year, comes to reality. The designated area should include the new monument, our existing and future veteran memorial bricks, evergreen bushes, spotlights, and a flagpole. I look forward to completion and dedication of this monument, and I thank the board for its unity it has showed in bringing this idea into reality. And lastly, yesterday I attended the 35th Pecan Hill Reunion Anniversary. The word was preached, and a good time was had by all. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. I will mention one thing for Commissioner Kuczynski. The property there for the Battle Roberts Field was county property, because that used to be the old high school. I'm not sure really when CREEDMOOR. It was dedicated to Battle Roberts because he coached Little League baseball in that field. I played for him and for years and years and years, and that's why it was dedicated to as Battle Roberts Field.
Oh, I thought it was donated by the family.
No.
Okay.
If it is, they would have bought it from the county, and I don't think that happened. Okay, mayor's report, went to the Pecan Hill reunion. I have asked, apparently the mayor carries no weight, because I've asked the good Lord for it not to be hot on there. Might need to, Reverend Wilkins, instead of Commissioner Wilkins, to put in a good word for cooler days. It was well turned out. There was a good program. They dedicated it to Dora-Ann. Her name is Dora-Ann, but they all called her Dora-Ann, which I met first year I was mayor. She ran that thing like a camp. I mean, it always went smoothly. I attended the first day of school at Holly along with Commissioner Kuczynski and, of course, the police department. It was interesting to watch the people that clearly should have known where to turn, still turn different places. But again, congratulations to the chief and his staff. They maintained order so that nobody cussed us out when they rode by. I also did the community effort at Harris Park, and I want to point out that this past weekend, Jimmy Miner and his gun store have officially moved out to Butner, and that building is vacant. All right, that takes care of that. Now I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session. Motion is made by Commissioner Wilkins. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. We'll adjourn to closed session.
Hey, Chief, my 5-year-old enjoyed helping with hot dogs and getting the names wrong of your officer.